Today's a celebration of dreams, dedication, and the next big chapter in your journey. And it's only right that we have someone just as legendary to help mark this special moment. Our next speaker is a hometown hero, a native of Garland, who turned her love of sports into a powerhouse career that has inspired athletes across Texas and around the world. She's a former Division I baller at Indiana University, an award-winning coach, a district champion, a mentor to future college athletes, and a global ambassador for the game, with her skills taking her to Canada, Ireland, and South Africa. She's been a Coach of the Year, a Department Teacher of the Year, a Division I and UIL State Final Basketball official, and she's still out there shaping the future of sports and education as Garland ISD's K-12 Coordinator of Health and Physical Education. She's proof that sports are bigger than wins and losses. They are about building a legacy. Get loud, show some love, and help welcome to the stage, LeeAnn Stephenson.
Good morning, Garland ISD. We're going to try that again. Y'all got to wake up. Good morning, Garland ISD. I appreciate that. I also appreciate the added crowd noise to make sure that y'all are awake this morning. I appreciate the wonderful introduction. I am a proud Garland ISD alumni. I'm a proud Garland OWL graduate. I was not born in Texas, but I grew up in Texas. So I am a proud Texan. I am fortunate that my mother made the decision in her lifetime to move her children to Texas to give us the opportunities we've had to be able to be successful and become the professionals her children had the opportunity to become. So coming to Garland ISD, to Garland, Texas, by the 4th grade, attending Ruth Roach Elementary and Sam Houston Middle School, and then going on to graduate from Garland High School, changed my life. So I am forever thankful for what Garland ISD did for me. And I hope to live up to the standard just to share a few things with you guys today. I hope this mic stays with me. So let's get right to it. They gave me 10 minutes, so I want to make sure that I do my part, hold the standard, get in here, give you guys some inspiration, give you guys a little bit about my story, and inspire you guys and send you on your way. So let's talk a little bit about beyond the game, and hopefully having the opportunity, as Dr. Lopez alluded to, building a legacy beyond athletics, right? We're all here to celebrate you guys and the wonderful accomplishment that you guys have to play at the next level, right? That was my dream many, many years ago. I decided very, very young. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I got a proud black mama. So some of you guys know what that means. I remember riding in the car with my mother. I remember it was probably a tense moment. We were late for another event, and I needed to get to a basketball game, right? But my mother's in charge because she's driving, and she's the only one that can get me there. And I remember in that moment, although I had a proud black mama, I had the courage to tell her what my dreams were, right? And I said it in a stern way. And I let her know in the 7th grade, it's like, look, I just need you to do one thing for me. I need you to leave me alone, okay? And I told a proud black mama that. I really thought I was going to get the backhand, probably punched in the throat. I didn't that day, but I thought it was coming. But I did. I had the courage to tell her, I just need you to leave me alone. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play basketball in college. I'm going to play Division I. I'm going to get a full scholarship. You're not going to have to pay for a thing. I just need you to let me do what I need to do to make my dreams come true. And I told her that in the 7th grade. But when I told her that, I knew from that moment forward until I accomplished my goal, I had to do everything that I said I committed myself to do to reach my goal. And I did. They said I had the opportunity to play at Indiana University, but my journey didn't start there, right? My journey didn't start there. It started at another level, at another place. And I had to go through some challenges and trials and tribulations to reach my goal, but I did. and I wouldn't change a thing about that journey. And some of you guys have did the same thing. You said, I want to go play at the next level. I want to go Division I, or I want to play in college. Because it doesn't matter where you play. It just matters that you get the opportunity. And then it determines how you make the best of your opportunity. So let's talk a little bit about building our legacy. Quick show of hands for my athletes. If y'all not going to be nervous, some of y'all are a little nervous on stage, but y'all did a really, really good job when they called your name. How many of you guys dreamed of playing sports in college? Right? I know I did. Hopefully, most of you guys, all of you on the floor, probably dreamed of playing sports in college, right? And some of you didn't. It wasn't even on your spectrum. And then now, look at you. You're going to have the opportunity to accomplish that goal. Now, keep your hand up if some of you guys dream of playing at the pro level someday. How many of you guys? I see some of those. Be confident. You got to believe it first, right? I had the same dream, right? It didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. I had the same dream. I respect it. And if you really, I think I lost, okay, I got it back. If you really believe it, right, you got to do the things that are necessary to accomplish whatever your dreams are, okay? But what if I told you you can build an even bigger legacy outside of the game, on the court, on the field, in the pool, whatever your sport of play is, okay? I want you to think about that. And I'm going to share a couple stats with you guys, because this is reality. Let's get real for a second. Out of the nearly 8 million high school athletes in the United States, only 7% will play a varsity sport in college. Only 7%. You guys are the 7%. I was part of the 7%. 8 million. There's 8 million in the United States. Only 7% play at the next level. Okay? It's a small crop. And the percentage that go pro, it drops to less than 2%. So think about that. I refer again to what Dr. Lopez says. Let's make sure we're making our dreams not only correct, because whatever your dreams are, they're true. But let's make sure that we're establishing the life that we want to live. Let's go pro at life, not only let's try to go pro in athletics. And that's for all sports, that 2%. For football, it's about 1.6%. For basketball, it's about 1.2%. And for women's basketball, it's about 0.8%. And why does it list those three sports? Those three sports are your three major sports in college, right? Those are the ones that are money-making sports. And oftentimes, depending upon what college you're at, those are the ones that fund all of the other sports on your campus. So think about from 7% to 2% to 1.6% to 1.2%, and then less than 1% go on to play pro. So most of the time, people were telling you to have a backup plan. I don't really believe in a backup plan. I believe your plan is your plan. What God has for you, you will be able to accomplish. Okay? But better yet, how about let's make it our primary plan? So for me, I always knew that athletics was my tool, just like I told my mom in the 7th grade. Okay? I knew it was my tool. It was my tool to get free school. It was my tool to get a degree. It was a tool to achieve my dreams of playing college basketball, which took me all across the world. In college alone, because fortunately I had the opportunity at some point to play at Indiana University. So that's a Power 5 school where they have private planes and stewardesses and snacks for you when you get on, not like the normal ones where they bring you some peanuts and etc. Every time you get on the plane, there's sodas and things we shouldn't have been drinking, and candy bars and things we shouldn't have been eating, right? And it said Indiana University on the side, right? Crazy. Private plane. Young adult. Crazy. But it was amazing. But I didn't start there. So when I got there, I could appreciate what I didn't have the opportunity to experience before I got to Indiana University. So what I want to tell you guys, and I want to implore you, is to make sure you know what your dreams are. We got to keep working on them, okay? Keep pushing towards what you want to accomplish, but understand your sport is just your platform. It's not your plan, okay? It's a tool. Hopefully it's not the destination, because at some point we all stop playing sports. And when we stop playing sports, We want to be pro at life. So let's pivot and talk a little bit about purpose, okay? And what that may look like for some of you, or most of us. Because if only 2% go pro, then what do the other 98% do? They're all the people that you see in the room. They're your teachers. They're your coaches. They're our superintendents. They're our board of trustees. They're our athletic directors, assistant athletic directors. There's me in my role now, my roles before, when I was a teacher and assistant coach, before I became a head coach, and then a coordinator of girls athletics, before I became an assistant principal, right? And then before I decided to come back to Garland ISD and serve my school district, the place that served me, again, for the second time. So here's something exciting, okay? While the pro athlete pipeline is narrow, we talked about that. In the last 15 years, or the last 50 years, a lot of people obviously are professionals, and they're learning to not only build their own businesses, but also become entrepreneurs. The number of entrepreneurs has skyrocketed. Some of you guys are figuring out how to do that right now online. You have your YouTube accounts, you got your Instagram accounts, you got your TikTok accounts, right? And you're learning to be personalities. Some of you guys are gonna get the opportunity at the collegiate level where you get NIL, right? And you're gonna have to learn to steward and foster your money, okay? Some of you are gonna get that opportunity, some of you are not. But what are you gonna do to prepare for post-college, right? And these are your opportunities to prepare for that. So as of today, there's 33 million small businesses in the United States, and they create about 2/3 of new jobs. So a lot of our parents, a lot of our siblings, a lot of our family members are professional adults. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they're educators, right? Some own their own business. You might go into the family business. You might start a nonprofit. You might work for a nonprofit. Whatever it may be, we got to be prepared to be professionals. And this is important, what we learn in athletics. The skills we learn in sports, they teach us discipline. They teach us resilience. They teach us to be great teammates. They teach us to focus, right? They teach us balance. They teach us to work under pressure and duress, right? But I think the biggest thing we learn in sports is not only our character, our integrity, but our ability to fail forward, right? Because we're typically not successful immediately. We got to go to practice, and we got to work, and then we come back, and we practice again, and we practice again, and we practice more until we perfect our craft. And we have the opportunity to perfect our craft. That is when we start to see success, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Another stat for you guys, studies show that former athletes are most likely to become successful professionals, right? More than their non-athletic peers. And why is that? That's because you become comfortable taking risks, bouncing back from failure. These are things that we experience over and over again when we lose games, okay? When it's crunch time. If any of you guys are watching the NBA Finals, it's crazy. Most of these games are being won in the last 40 seconds, 60 seconds, right? And those that are prepared to persevere under pressure, those are the teams that are winning those games. And some of them are doing it back to back to back. And life is like that. Life is sometimes going to be like a 7-game series. So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is how sometimes your dreams and your plan, it's going to be imperfect. And for me, mine was. When I first did this, what you guys did, went to signing day and decided what school I was going to go to, I signed to go to University of Arkansas Little Rock. I'm sorry, I cut out a little bit. University of Arkansas Little Rock. And when it came down to it, and I decided I was going to go D1, and the two schools that I was deciding between at the time were Arkansas Little Rock and Wyoming, right? And Wyoming's really, really, really far away, and it's very cold. And Arkansas Little Rock is 4 hours away. I can drive there, and my mother could drive there and see me play multiple times. So when it came down to it, although at one school, which I got to see them play, they said, you come here, you're the starter immediately. It's your job. You ain't got to fight for it. You don't have to compete for it. It's yours. We've seen you play. And I saw them do crazy things. I remember, we went to a football game. They played BYU, and I heard them chant things I've never heard people chant in real games. and I was a little bit shocked. You know, they threw out some profanity in their chants, and I was like, oh, I didn't know they did that. That was different. But I also remember pre-game, I saw them in the weight room, and they lifted before they played. And this was a long time ago, y'all. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but this was a long time ago before we weren't lifting before we played a game. But now if you look at pro athletes, they get a pre-game lift, they play a game, they get a post-game lift so they can prepare and increase their performance and recovery a lot quicker. So think about how forward-thinking Wyoming was way back then. And I made the decision. I'm going to go closer because I want to be somewhere where my mother can see me play. And it wasn't the right decision for me. It was a very hard year. And I did play, and I was very prepared. I thank God still today for my high school coach, who is still the coach at Saxe High School, Donna McCullough. At the time before I went to school, her husband at the time was working at Plano East High School. And they, again, way before our time, where they had strength and conditioning programs in the summer. Right now, we can do strength and conditioning programs in the summer. We can do skill development, etc. But it was just kind of starting at that time. But I just had a glimpse of what they do, and they were really getting after it. And I asked, hey, Coach McCullough, can I come train with you in the summer? I want to be prepared before I go to school. And I went and trained with him all summer, and he kicked our butt. I remember running heels with my teammate on my back and in the weight room on a whistle. Like he was a little crazy. But I promise you, when I went to school, I know our trainer said, hey, you're in shape. You're ready to go. And I said, yes, sir, I am. Because I didn't want to go and not be prepared. That's the discipline. But I had a difficult year. It just wasn't the right place for me. I didn't think I was being coached to the level that I wanted to. I really love basketball. I want to be challenged. I want to be coached. I want to be told how to get better. I want to get in the gym more. I want more skill development, right? So I remember I had to come to the time where I had to tell my mother I wasn't going back to the school. They gave me a full ride to school where my mother couldn't pay for it. And that's what I told her many, many years ago in 7th grade. And I remember she looked shocked. I remember she cried. I remember she was on her knees and just like, I can't pay for your school. And I said, I know, but I've made a decision. This isn't the right place for me. And God willing, it's all going to work out. I'm going to do what I have to do, and whatever it takes, I'll figure it out. And this is how, when you do the right things, you put yourself in the right position. Now we have the transfer portal and all that crazy stuff. So I was in that thing called the transfer portal back then, when it wasn't like a total thing as it is now. And some coach just out of the blue from Illinois, and this was back then where you couldn't just go and skip and go and go and go. You either had to go to junior college from Division I, or you got to sit out a year. And I wasn't the sit out a year type. I wanted to play. So I chose to go to junior college, and I had some random coach that I never met or talked to in my life, and he called me and said, hey, I want to give you a scholarship to come to my school. And I said, where are you at? And it was some school called Lincoln Trail College in Robinson, Illinois. So I told my mom and my sister, and we went and got in a car, and we packed it up, and we drove to some place that had a lot of cornfields and like a gas station. And the only entertainment they had there was a bowling alley. They had a McDonald's and a Burger King. And I mean, that's it. And I went there for a year, and I did what I was supposed to do. I trained hard. I had to teach my teammates how to lift weights and to do cardio and try to be a leader there. When I'm used to, at least we had, tour buses that we traveled on and commercial flights at Division I. Now I'm at JUCO, and we're in a van, and you don't get food paid for you like that. I got to cook now every night if we're going to eat. It was rough. I said, but I stuck it out, and I did what I was supposed to do, and I tried to perform at a high level. And then lo and behold, someone again saw me perform and told someone else, you need to come look at this kid. And I got recruited by Indiana University, and I finished my years in college at Indiana University, again on a full scholarship. So what I want to make sure that you guys understand is that sometimes your journey will be imperfect. But if you stay committed to what your goals are, if you are committed and disciplined enough to do the work, if you don't waver in your belief that what you plan to get accomplished will get accomplished. You got to believe it. You got to write it down so you know that you're putting your faith in what you say. I'm a faithful person, so I pray about it, right? And then you got to do the work every day. You reap no rewards with inaction. You got to do the work, and you have to put in action every single day. And that's sometimes saying no to hanging out. I did a lot of that. That's making sure you make time for your studies. I did a lot of that. I remember being at the library at midnight at Indiana University a lot. Because what do you do when your athletic commitments, that's 6-8 hours a day, and you got to go to class, and you got to find time to eat. And what if you couldn't get your lift in when you were available, so you got to go back, and you got to go get your individuals in, but you had practice too. And luckily I was smart enough so I didn't have to go to study hall, but some of you guys might have to go to study hall. I was top 10% in my class, leadership council, chair. I'm smarter than I look. Okay? So I want you guys to make sure you know and understand. Yeah, and I didn't let anybody cheat off my paper. If I do my work, you got to do your work too. Okay? But real quick, because I know I have to wrap it up. I want you guys to make sure you understand your resiliency, being driven and being focused. That's how you lead to a successful life, right? That's your career outside of athletics. I want you guys to know that your legacy can be bigger than the game. I love basketball. It wakes me up in the morning. It's my purpose. I know that. But my career is education. I've been doing education for 20 years. I remember being in Garland High School and saying, I will never work in education. I don't want to deal with these bad kids, and I don't want to make no money. And I want you guys to know that I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. I will thank the Lord after my last game and tried to figure out, I don't know what I'm about to do with my life, and I don't know what my career is going to be and how I'm going to make money. And again, my head coach from high school, Donna McCullough, gave me a ring and was like, hey, do you want to come work with me? Do you want to be my assistant? And I said, absolutely. Thank you, Jesus. I got a job. But I want to tell you about the pivot. Again, it never works out the way you thought it was. Because then something happened before I got here. And Donna McCullough was at Garland High, then she was at Saxey High, and some people at Saxey High became at Garland High. And then it's just now it's like a real interview process, and I have to meet new people. And I remember meeting with people that didn't think I would be loyal, and I'd be a professional, and I would work hard, right? I remember having to go to the office to meet Assistant Athletic Director Judy Campbell for an interview, but she was at lunch, so I had to wait. I think I waited about 2 hours for you. I'm not kidding. But I sat there disciplined, I think with Lynn Duck, and we just waited until you got there. And I want you to know why this is important, because the only reason Judy Campbell knew me was because of my competition on the basketball floor as the point guard for Garland High School. But the way I competed, the way I carried myself, the way I was passionate about the game, for this crazy passionate lady that was on the sideline screaming every game, etc., right? Losing her mind to the point where I don't remember a person that played for Naaman Forest High School during my high school career, but I remember Judy Campbell. To the point where when I competed, I wanted to beat her. I didn't care who I was competing against. I just wanted to beat that crazy loud lady on the sideline. And it was out of respect. It wasn't because she was annoying. It was because she loved the game like I loved the game. And when she finally got to her office, it felt like 2 hours later. I want to make sure I highlight that. When she walked in the door, she said, I think Lynn said, hey, this is LeeAnn Stephenson, etc. Want to be the assistant coach at Garland High School. And she said, oh, I know her. Yeah, she's good. And that was it. I was in. I had a job. I was going to make money. And that was the conversation. And this is why I want you guys to make sure you understand that this is important. Because the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate to people, the way you treat people, the way you're kind, the way you leave it better than you found it when you get up from the cafeteria table, or when you go to a restaurant, when your parents tell you to clean up your room, right? The relationships you build now, the friendships you have now. Every job I've ever had in my life has some connection to basketball. Whether it's someone I work for, someone I work with, a former mentor, a friend of mine, someone that's seen me play, someone that's seen me coach, someone that's seen me then now as an administrator for the last 10 plus years. It is all tied to who I've been for 20 plus years of my life, and the foundation was basketball. So I want you guys to build something that lasts beyond the scoreboard. And I don't want you guys to just have the, I want to go pro and be an athlete, because even when that career ends, who are you going to be? And a lot of people deal with depression because they have to figure out who you are outside of that persona. So start being and becoming that person now. Start figuring out what you like. Start working on that every single day. Start writing it down in your journal. Start thinking about it and meditating on it. Pray about it if you're a believer. Whatever it is, but once you say this is what you're going to do, you got to put the work into action. And this is the last thing I want to share with you guys. This is why I want to make sure that you guys build your legacy, and it starts today. Whether you go pro or not, I want you to be the kind of person who owns your life on the field, on the court, but I want you to own your life and become pro at your life. Okay? Start it. I said, you got to believe it. You got to write it down. Meditate on it or pray on it, whichever works best for you. Surround yourself with a good crop of people. Find mentors. Donna McCullough, Judy Campbell, Janet Wyatt, Sylvia Palacios. These people have been my mentors since I was a child or a young adult. And as a result, I've been able to build this life. And I'm not where I want to be. I still have more work to do. So I want you to take your life seriously. Never stop learning. Never stop working. Because success isn't just about making it to the league or playing sports or athletics. It's about making your life matter. It's about having purpose. And that determines the game where we all can win. Thank you, guys.
We can hear the passion in her voice as she spoke to you guys. Her words were not only inspirational for the athletes, but also for the adults in the room. So let's give LeeAnn one more big round of applause, please.